This is our, this session is our 20th anniversary recognition. It is for the association, but it is for Saul Hafner posthumously and Barbara J. 20 years ago, Saul and Barbara established the Justice of the Peace Association. They started in Connecticut and soon expanded to other New England states and Florida, representing civil officiants. And it was in 2005, on the eve of the legalization of civil unions for same-sex couples in Connecticut, that the association hosted the first statewide conference for JPs. That was in Middletown. Since that time, 8 additional conferences were held. Today is our 10th, though of course it's the first time we're doing it virtually. In 2017, Saul died and Barbara retired. And Saul and Barbara are my parents, so that's when I got involved. And it speaks to my why. Why am I involved? It's a labor of love. My goal is to see my parents' vision continue. My background has not been in officiating, so I've incorporated some of my own professional background and experience into our activities. That's where the advocacy and the representation and some of the training comes in. And so it's been my why. It's why I want to see this continue, and I want to live up to their vision. And their vision is because members have always loved Barbara and Saul. And I know this because members tell me this all the time. It means a lot to me when a member of JPUS shares their story when they were just learning the ropes, or when a pro was having trouble with a sticky situation and they knew they can come to them for help. And they share with me how Barbara and Saul could be relied upon to help with a friendly and warm smile. That appreciation is priceless, and I try and follow in those big shoes, to fill those big shoes. It's a pretty high bar for me to continue. So now, to recognize the accomplishments of Barbara and Saul, the Justice of the Peace Association's 20th anniversary, the Connecticut Secretary of State, Denise Merrill, has issued this certificate of award. It states, Secretary Merrill would like to recognize Saul Hafner posthumous and Barbara J. for your leadership establishing and managing the Justice of the Peace Association on its 20th anniversary. Secretary Merrill was actually a speaker at one of the past conferences too. And she concludes by saying that the certificate is a token of our deep gratitude for a long and distinguished service. I would now like to introduce you to my mother, Barbara J.
Thank you, Loretta. And thank you for the kind words. And I'm looking at the comments that are saying, Loretta, you do a great job, and you sure do.
Oh,
so,
thank you.
I am happy to be here after a long hiatus away from the Justice of the Peace Association. I really retired, as Loretta knows. I thought I would tell you the origin story of the Justice of the Peace Association. It begins long before we ever thought about becoming JPs. Saul and I were living together as an unmarried couple, which was unusual at the time among people who cared. And 14 years went by somehow, and whenever we talked about getting married, the biggest obstacle was the wedding itself. We were embarrassed about making a big deal of it, yet if we were going to get married, we wanted our family and friends to be present. So what happened after 14 years was Saul was having a 60th birthday, and it was on a Sunday in June. And the Friday before that, it just hit me that why not get married at his birthday party? The people who were important would be there, and over the weekend we invited a lot more. We decided to surprise our guests by getting married. We had an acquaintance who was a JP. She hadn't been invited, but we called her on that Friday and she was available, and she thought that was a great idea. We spent the weekend writing the ceremony. If you want to know more details about the wedding itself, let's see if I can show you. There it is. This is a blog post I wrote about a surprise wedding. It was called Surprise Your Guests, Get Married. The wedding was such fun that when Saul retired from teaching marketing courses at Sacred Heart University, he decided he would become a JP himself. He had loved being the center of attention when he was in front of a classroom, and he thought officiating at marriages would give him a similar rush. But this was 2001. How would couples find him? So I was a computer programmer and knew something about websites, so he asked me to build him a website. And then he realized if he needed to be found, what about all the other JPs? And so was born the first JP association. It was called JPCT.org, only in Connecticut. That was its first name. What you see on this home page are two weddings in progress. On the left is Loretta and Arkady, and on the right is my other daughter, Sarah and Isidro. Both of them were married by JPs. And this one website did both get couples. Are you getting married? It says on the left, and on the right, are you a justice of the peace? So the one website served both functions. Of course, the Are You Getting Married became findajp.com a few years later, or maybe even sooner. It worked. JPs signed up, and so did couples. So we expanded to other states in the New England area where JPs perform duties that are similar to the JPs in Connecticut. Here is the first homepage of JPUS.org. JPCT was no more. As Loretta, I think, mentioned, our first JP conference was in 2005. People came from all over the state. They loved it, and so we kept going. We had many great speakers at our events, including Senator Blumenthal. When he was the Attorney General of Connecticut, he spoke the same year that same-sex marriages became legal in Connecticut, which was 2008. Only Massachusetts did that first. In 2012, we added a blog to Find a JP, inviting members to contribute articles of interest to couples and, of course, to JPs as well. This is the first page of the first blog. Saul's his first post was titled "The Lure of Special Wedding Dates," like 12/12/12, December 12th, 2012, a triple-digit date that had just passed, because he wrote this in December of 2012. Couples love to get married on special dates like that, but Saul pointed out that the next triple date, 01/01/01, would be January 1st, 21/21. We had already passed 21/20, exactly 100 years from now. So it wasn't likely that any of the JPs would still be performing weddings at that point. As one of the officers of the association, I thought it was important that I become a justice of the peace. And I did in 2005, the next opportunity. I never intended to be an officiant. I just did it for the street creds. So I was never listed on Find a JP myself until Loretta took over. And she said, why not? Why not do weddings? So I am now listed in my hometown of Westport. And I'd say I've done about a dozen weddings over the years. They were all small ones. I never wanted to appear like Sol did in front of a huge crowd. And 3 of them were during the pandemic in 2020 at the beach. All of them were at the beach, and they were wonderful. So here we are up to date, and I just want to end by thanking Loretta for picking up where Sol and I were when we were ready to retire, and taking the association in new directions and to new heights. How you managed to create this virtual conference amazes me. You're a lot more than a chipper off the old block. Congratulations to you, managing member number 1. Well done, and I love you.
I love you too. And you're making me tear up. Thank you. Thank you, and congratulations on what you've accomplished. I'm just carrying the baton.